Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another video, my beautiful women of Qur'an now. So last week we talked about when peace suddenly disappears. You can check that video. We basically talked about evil eye. And the week before we talked about spiritual sickness in marriages, because that is definitely the hidden cause of marital pain. It's one of them. And so check that previous video as well. I'm going to try to tag them somewhere. Sorry, I had to interrupt because this is the week talking about, spiritual sickness and how it impacts marriages. This is the week of Halloween in many places. And as Muslims, we need to stay clear of this because we have real situation happening with the evil world. And so we don't take it for granted. We don't play with it. We don't want our children to play with this. This is real stuff. They have real impact on families. And, this is nothing to play with. So I just wanted to interrupt and remind everyone to increase your azkar, increase your ruqya. The winter, the longer nights, some Raqis even say that, things are being renewed. Evil is more into mischief because they have a longer nights, right? And we know that longer nights in the winter also coincide with what? Depression, crime rates, and even suicide. So we do not play with the evil. We seek refuge in Allah against them, and we don't make it an entertainment. So just wanted to interrupt and have that little note in. Let's continue. And we are doing this series on marriage, on blessed relationship, because that is a group coaching that I am launching. The second cohort, we did the first cohort and it ended in September, and now I'm starting the new cohort, inshallah ta'ala, in November. So registration is open. I will put the link below in the description if you want to check it out. And if you want to invest in the 6-month group coaching to up-level your marriage for the sake of Allah. So if you are new here, Assalamu alaikum, I'm Binta Yahya. I'm a Qur'an educator and mindset and relationship certified coach. Okay, I certified in the attachment styles with the Thais Gibson program, and I'm a Qur'an educator, and I like to focus on mindset because that is usually where everything comes from. So I help Muslim women reconnect with the Qur'an, understand themselves, understand their deen, and build healthier relationships, all for the sake of Allah, right? It has to start with Allah in mind, continue with Allah in mind, and with Allah in mind, bi'idhnillah, until we go back to Him. So if you are new here, welcome, and let's dive into today's video, which is about communication. But it's going to be in 2 parts. This first part is going to talk about self-talk, because before we even speak with other people, we need to be aware of our inner self-talk. This is huge. The inner self-talk is so impactful, and that's kind of what I want to talk about today. So I mentioned to you that I did train and certified in the attachment styles with the integrated attachment style theory coaching, right? And so looking at the insecure attachment styles, the 3 of them, the anxious preoccupied, the dismissive avoidant, and the fearful avoidant, we see from usually when you look at the inner talk of these 3 different types of insecure attachment styles, you really see how the self-talk is impacting greatly the communication with the spouse. And not only with the spouse, but everybody else. But let's focus on spouse and marital communication today. So if we take the anxious preoccupied, technically their greatest fear is to be abandoned. They crave connection. And so their self-talk will probably sound like, he's distant, I must have done something wrong. Why didn't he call? Maybe he doesn't care anymore. They will see a behavior from the other as threatening their connection because that's their greatest fear. So they will read into that. And that's the message they will tell themselves. And that is going to translate in how they will communicate with the other. Either they will be clingy because they are like really pursuing reassurance. They're afraid of rejection. So they're going to assume rejection even before it happens, right? And they're going to be calling, checking, over-explaining. And the husband, he's going to feel pressure. The spouse is going to feel pressured. Or even sometimes accused wrongly. It's like, what? It's not such a big deal. Like, why is she making such a big deal out of this, right? But it all started with that first self-talk of maybe he doesn't care anymore. Maybe I'm being abandoned. Like they're not going to say the word abandoned, but that is, I must have done something wrong. He's distant. I'm losing him. That is the inner talk that is there, that is going to now impact the communication with the other. So the anxious preoccupied needs to really pay attention to that pattern of her self-talk and then reframe it. And so we discuss how to actually detect that pattern in your mind, like how, when that's happening, what to do about it and how to come out of that. So that is some of the things that we talk about in blessed relationships. And so one reframe for her could be, Allah is I'm not disconnected. I'm not abandoned. Allah is there. He's present. He's omnipresent. He's the only constant. And so I'm not unloved. And I can, whatever I need right now, I can just express it calmly without fear of losing the other, right? And that's the self-talk that she will have to have, that reframe. If we take the second attachment style, is DA, dismissive avoidant, which is the opposite of the AP, right? The anxious preoccupied. DA, usually they are afraid of vulnerability and they're afraid of emotions. So they usually, they want to guard their space. So they're very, very protective of their space. And so if they see that there's too much emotion and too much, like things are becoming too vulnerable, they are going to try to put a wall and they're going to try to basically avoid, dismiss, avoid. They will not show their true self and their true emotions. And so the spouse is going to feel unseen, unheard, is going to feel like the other one, the DA, is cold and not really present with them. They can't get through to them. And so communication is going to be kind of tense between the DA and the other, because the DA in their self-talk is saying, I just need peace. This is too much emotion. This is too much drama. This person is overreacting. I just need my peace, right? And so for the DA, one way is to tell herself that, listening and being present and being vulnerable does not mean that I'm going to be hurt, right? Because at the end of the day, Allah is the one who protects. Allah is a protecting one. And DAs tend to be very impatient with people, especially, not necessarily with situations, but with people. And so, like telling them how sabr is praised in the Qur'an and the Sunnah, and Allah is with the sabirin. So these are some of the reframes that the DA could be having. And the FA is a disorganized attachment. They are between the AP and the DA. They swing between the two. So they're either very emotional or they become very distant. And so that swing between closeness and withdrawal, in their inner speech can sound like, I want to get close, but I don't want to get hurt again. So basically the reason why they're hot and cold is because they do want connection, but they are so afraid of being betrayed and of being hurt. And so then they will just put a wall because they're also afraid of vulnerability. And so how is that inconsistency is going to confuse the spouse, and then they're going to feel like, okay, what is going on with my wife? Like, today we're all lovey-dovey and tomorrow it's like a huge fight. What is going on? The fact is the FA is trying to protect herself. She wants that connection, but she is too afraid to trust, right? In this case, maybe tawakkul ala Allah will help her in her reframe. And maybe she could go with, I'm going to rely on Allah and trust that Allah will protect me no matter the situation. And so I'm going to learn to trust my spouse, because without trust, a marriage really cannot go far. So I'm going to learn to trust my spouse, and I'm going to rely on Allah to protect my heart. So basically, you see how the inner talk, just with these three insecurely attachment, you really see that how it could impact communication with the spouse. So in blessed relationship, we help you to really recognize your own patterns, your attachment style, because there's a quiz that you do to actually find out what attachment style you are. And even if you're secure, it doesn't mean you're out of the wood, because I know a sister who's securely attached, but she has perfectionist tendencies and that very deep limiting belief, or I'm not good enough. So she goes above and beyond, always justifying. And so for her, if there's any criticism that is made, she will take it very, 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 very to the heart, right? And so nothing should be criticized. Everything should be perfect. And so that is going to also impact, because the spouse is going to feel like he can't be like sincere and genuine in his communication with her, because if he is, then she's going to take it too much to heart, right? She's going to make it mean something about her worth. So whether you're securely attached or insecurely attached, the fact is your inner speech has a huge impact in how you communicate with others. And that's the whole point. Those are the major topics that we go. It's one of the major topics that we go over in the blessed relationship. So I'm going to leave you with a little clip of that. And then next week, inshallah, we'll look at part 2 of communication, which will be communication with the spouse. So first, communication, we're going to start with self. Of course, like I told you, those are 2 points that I'm trying to drive home, is that we have to work on ourselves first and then look at the other. So self-communication, Allah says in the Qur'an, save yourself and your family from the hellfire. In Surah Shu'ara, we have Lut alayhi salam. He's saying, رَبِّ نَجِّنِي وَأَهْلِي مِمَّا يَعْمَلُونَ. My Lord, save me and my family from the consequence of what they do. So the point I'm trying to make is that we start with ourselves. We always start with ourselves first, okay? So when you are feeling anything, like your spouse said something to you and you feel some funny way about it, before you even, if you're able to, be quiet, digest and ask yourself, go over that conversation, because there's no point, if you're getting upset, there's no point in having a conversation when you're upset. Even the Muslim judge in Islamic courts, they are told not to judge when they're angry, right? Emotions are not the best way to judge a situation objectively. They're not your best friend in that instance. So you need your rational mind, you need your intellect, you need your emotions to be a bit more balanced before you judge a situation. So when you feel aggravated in a situation with your spouse, at that point, the best advice is actually not to communicate, to just listen. Best advice is to be quiet. We know say good or remain silent is a hadith, right? So it's best to stay quiet and zip it. Just zip it, listen to it, and then afterwards, when you calm down, you try to digest what was said, you could ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What is the source of me feeling this way? And really check with yourself, right? Basically communicate with yourself to see what is happening with you. And is it a need that I'm not meeting? Is it a need, right? Do I have a need? Let's say, for instance, your spouse is spending a lot of time with his friends, and then you're feeling bad about it, right? You're feeling upset and he's not spending time with me. Many times it's because you don't have kind of a life of your own, right? And you everything is revolving around your husband. And the more you're able to fulfill your own need of loneliness, meeting your own need, then when your husband is there, it's just bonus, but it's not the foundation. Now, if you're anxious, preoccupied, this is really hard, because this is an insecure attachment style, right? If you're AP, it's absolutely for you, everything has to be connected to you. It's like a survival. So, but if you're securely attached, but you just want more, your husband spending so much time with his friends, ask yourself, well, am I spending time doing things that I want to do, right? I'm having a message here. Let me see. She said very hot. Yes, I know. MashaAllah. So then the more you're able to meet your own need, which is also very difficult for APs, but the more you're able to meet stay with yourself and meet your own needs, right? A hobby, take a hobby, have a sisterhood, do things with other people where you, even with yourself, actually,
do have classes with other sisters, you're able to meet some needs on your own without your spouse. Or you're not just focusing only your spouse fulfilling that need for you. The more balanced you'll be, the less triggered you'll be. And then also check your painful stories. Do you make it mean that you're being abandoned? Do you make it mean that you know he doesn't want to be with you? Because it could be that he wants to be his friends. Being with his friend does not mean he doesn't want to be with you. He just thinks that he can be with his friends and he can be with you. Like, usually secure people have the need to be with different people. Does that?
And there you have it. And, this point about filling up your own cup and being there for yourself it was a huge point. And that sister from the first cohort that just ended, that was one of her major takeaways, because, we can't we cannot pour from an empty cup is the expression, sorry. And so when we want to have a stronger marriage, we first have to make sure that our cup is full. We master the self-talk, we change our thoughts, and we change our marriage. May Allah bless us with blessed relationships. Assalamu alaikum.